useful set of records
Mm-hmm.
because they are very much our social history. You know, you might look at somebody's death certificate and it might give the cause of death. But if you look at the poor law records, it might say, or you might be what's due to an industrial accident. Obviously, workers' cost. I mean, for example, we start having industrial compensation coming in as unions got stronger in the latter part of the 19th century.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, employers didn't necessarily have to pay.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I know down at Dysart Cemetery, there's a lot of graves there, and a lot of them say, especially if it's in an industrial accident, was that the gravestones being paid by their friends and colleagues in the workplace.
yeah, it's exactly the same in Edinburgh. You will see lots of it. And this is usually because the family themselves didn't have the money to pay. So, yes, so in effect, funds. And it wasn't unusual, and in fact still goes on even in the 21st century, putting money aside for a funeral. Because the one thing that people didn't want was what we would call a pauper's funeral. The pauper's funeral still happen, even today. And if you wander around a cemetery, particularly a municipal cemetery in Scotland, and you see a large green area and there's no gravestones, that's probably where the people who had no money were buried. Now, I've certainly got relatives, an ancestor buried in an unmarked pauper grave in Grange Cemetery in Edinburgh. He was what was called a paper ruler, which is working in the book industry, ruling the paper. And he dies in hospital in Edinburgh. But the family don't really have any money, so he's buried in an unmarked pauper grave in Grange Cemetery in Edinburgh. Now I know where that is, but you can spot. So that would have been the hospital or the parish paying to buy that space from the cemetery company, because cemetery there were very few municipal. They were all run by companies. And obviously they weren't going. They got money from the parochial board, the town council, to have so much space for poor people's graves. Most of our ancestors were at some point rather poor.
Yeah.
It's just like saying we have ag labs, domestic servants. You know, everybody's got an agricultural labourer. Everybody's got a female domestic servant at some point.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
But at some point, if we double up all our ancestors, we're going to come. Yes, some ancestors might have had money, but a lot of them are going to be poor at some point or other. Economic circumstances, family moving away, no old age pensions to support them, not having necessarily no health insurance, poor health. Could be from an early age, or it could be just all the diseases that strokes, it happen, heart disease, Crohn's disease, liver disease, what diseases that are still in existence could cause somebody to lose, and they would get support. They might end up in the parish hospital or the cottage hospitals. I think most people in Scotland wouldn't know about, but a lot of cottage hospitals, a lot of them came into existence post First World War as a kind of memorial. But they exist, and of course, prior to the existence of NHS in 1947, hospitals were charity, in a lot of cases, were charity funded.
Mm-hmm.
So you will see, if you look in local newspapers, again on the British Newspaper Library website, or Find My Past in British newspapers, you will get reference to funds being given to hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
You might not get your relative mentioned by name being poor.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly, in one case, I do have a relative who would be seen as an undeserving poor because he'd been in jail.
Mm-hmm.
He'd gone to market with a cow. He'd been given £20. He only gave £10 back to the owner of the cow, and he kept the other £10 for himself. But this was in 1860. So he ends up in jail. His wife dies of typhus, and they've got 7 kids in the 1860s. But by this point, he's working on the railway in Dufftown. But the local newspaper comments the fact that it's amazing all these navvies who you think of as being a drunken lot of rogues and so on put money together to give to my relative.
Wow.
So this is a form of non-state aid, in effect, he's getting to my relative.
Mm-hmm.
So there is information out there. It's just a case of looking. So as I say, there is no harm in having a look at having a look at the books, having a look at what the local archives have got. As I say, have a look at the local family history societies. So certainly with the Scottish Genealogy Society, we cover all of Edinburgh, all of Scotland, I should say. So, have a look and say, oh, hang on, I've got a relative from that parish. The books are not terribly expensive. Also, you will find that some of them have been transcribed and put on Find My Past, so have a look at Find My Past as well. North Lanarkshire, as I say, there's some they've got some actual digital copies for North Lanarkshire on Ancestral. Have a look at National Records of Scotland's website. Have a look at all archives' websites and see what they've got, and then go and look at them. They might not be name indexed, well, the books will be, but as Find My Past will be. And certainly, if you've got somebody from Glasgow, go to the Mitchell and have a look. And remember, they don't necessarily have to have been born in Glasgow.
Mm-hmm.
They could have emigrated or moved from the Highlands down
to work,
to Glasgow.
Yeah.
Or have then gone up, I think if I remember Geraint Taxman's case, his relative had then gone up to Dundee, but Glasgow are still paying.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately refused to pay because she kept them having illegitimate children. Of course, and that's not.
Yeah, that's
been good as good behaviour.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a tremendous set of records. They very much bring it alive.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that they're very much a human, because you look at the records, it's a name, but there's a very, very human element to the poor law records.
There is. I mean, you're getting, yes, you're getting the beer first.
Mm-hmm.
He went, this is the money they got. But if you look at the story behind the records and put them together with other records, for example, the maps from the National Library of Scotland map site, where was the cottage they were living in? Look at the Ordnance Survey name books on the Scotland's Places website, getting a description perhaps of the cottage or the farm. Read about what was happening in the parish, have a look at newspapers. It's putting a lot of this information together to give you a joined up picture. Because I always say, and you heard me say this before, family history is more than just something more than names, dates, and places. Names, dates, and places are very important. That's our basics. That's our bread and butter.
Mhm.
You know, if you don't have that, you're not going to get that. You're not going to go to the archives and say, "Oh, I'm just looking," unless you're particularly interested in doing a place history of a community.
Mhm.
I mean, if if you're interested in my case, I'm particularly nuts and Codder. I'll freely admit that Codder and Venture. So I would collect anything on that parish. But if you're interested in your family, do look at them because you, as I say, your relative might only have got full relief for a year, but they will still be mentioned. You can find orphans mentioned because orphan children are given or they're sent out to board with somebody. For example, I think most people are probably familiar, certainly in Scotland, with Aberlour Trust. And Aberlour, there's a big orphanage in Aberlour, but if you look at the Mortlach Poor Law record, there's certainly reference, for example, to orphan children and them paying for a new pair of shoes that year, or the child's been given, you can see the child gone out to board at a very young age, and then paid for. Or, for example, if you look at Glenlivet, you get children sent from Glasgow up to Glenlivet because they're Catholic. They're Highland Catholics as opposed to Irish Catholics. So they're sent out to board up in the Highlands with Catholic families, and this Catholic family would be given money both by the Glasgow Authority, by the Glasgow Parochial Board, but also by the Catholic Church. So again, you've got church records as well. So don't just think, ooh, they're in one place. You've got the kind of multi-source in these. I never give up because you just never know what's going to come out.
No. And I've got a day of history ancestry coming up on Saturday, which I'm looking forward to, so that I'm going to be adding those links to my searches.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still working during this lockdown, so I can't on a daily basis sit and do family history during the day. But certainly in the evenings, yes, I go on to Ancestry or Find My Past, and I look and see what records, what's coming out new. For example, on a Friday, you always look at Find My Past, what new stuff I've released. And it's going back. I freely admit, I buy any poor law book that for any parish in the north of Scotland or the northeast, because I never know when it might be an obscure relative. But as I say, for example, with the one at Mortlach, I've got at least 4 relatives in there.
Wow.
Including a direct ancestor.
Now,
if I hadn't looked at the book, I wouldn't know that. I knew I didn't know she was getting money from Lord Stephen's fund. I knew she was an OP in 1911, but I didn't know that in Mortlach she was getting money. So what I've asked in my contact is, when this is all over, to go to the archives in Elgin and check out the application paper, because what I want to know is if they mention her husband, who disappears off the scene, because I want to know what happened to my direct ancestor. And that might be the only way I'm going to find it out, is by looking at the poor law record, because he disappears. So, as I say, poor law records make reference. You might think, well, where's a family member gone? Well, as I said, in my case with my ones in Urry, she says she's in Australia. So it may make reference to children being overseas or gone overseas. And they know they're going to have to get money in that case, because they're not going to get them from, nobody in Australia is in New Zealand that there's no bank transfer.
No, absolutely not.
But yeah, I mean,